You spoke about CapEx, Mr. Kant, and the government, of course, this is a huge thrust. They've talked about CapEx in a massive way. They've increased the outlay. Now, the big problem sometimes with CapEx is while there are the outlay announcements, actual CapEx does not follow. Expenditure tends to lag behind, as we've seen last year, a year before, because of COVID, of course. But there are other reasons why. What are the key reasons you think why this is happening? And do you think that this CapEx push will actually crowd in private investment as you hope?
So I think that's a very important question, because important thing about CapEx is that you need to be ready with the projects. You need to put shovel to the ground. And therefore, there's a challenge for everybody in the system, really. If the budget talks about a 4.1% GDP for CapEx, that means every single department of the government, roads, railways, all these sectors need to be ready with land. They need to be ready with environment approvals. They need to be ready with all the possible approvals and get it cracking. They shouldn't be waiting for the last quarter of the year, but it's a challenge to all of us to really deliver projects on ground. And more than that, there's a huge, huge challenge to the states. If you're working with cooperative and competitive federalism, there's a massive challenge to the states of India to drive growth on the back of this capital expenditure. And more important than that, is to crowd in private sector investment means that you should be able to structure projects which are commercially viable and doable. That means you should be able to put users' fee, you should be able to put out projects into the market, and therefore bring in private sector investment. And therefore the government strategy for asset monetization is the right strategy, actually, that there are well-functioning good projects, there are airports, there are a whole range of roads which have already been constructed. These are all functional projects. Bring in the private sector, get them to operate and maintain. They'll bring in efficiency, and then they'll bring in the private debt. Because you need to raise corporate bonds, you need to raise much larger level of debt, because the private debt in India is extremely, extremely low, unlike the government sector. And the private debt has to be raised from the present 55% to at least 100%. And therefore, there's a massive opportunity on well-functional. These are all de-risk projects where private sector can come in and operate and maintain, and that is what the government strategy is through the asset monetization plan of 6 lakh crores.
Now, you've been a key driver of the asset monetization plan. We've had the 6 lakh crore number, of course, and the 80,000, 88,000 odd crore for this fiscal. Where do you think we'll end up this fiscal, and how do you think that's going? Tell us a little more, because we believe that, you know, that the asset monetization, like you said, could be a key driver of generating employments and growth. But is it happening?
So by 24-25, we have a target of 6 lakh crores. This year's target is 88,000 crores. We are absolutely confident of achieving and surpassing that. And this is largely because of the achievement in road side, power side. We've done extremely well on coal, on mining, and city gas distribution. So while some sectors have not performed so well, all other sectors have taken the lead and moved forward. So I'm extremely confident that we'll achieve this year's target of 88,000 crores. Now, this money is supposed to go back to the institutions so that they can create new infra. It's not meant for the budget. It's meant for these organizations so that they bring in private sector efficiency in operation and maintenance. But these institutions then use these resources to create new and new infrastructure and again get private sector. So you create a virtuous cycle of private sector management, bringing in better operation and efficiency into the system. Why should government be managing pipelines? Why should the government be doing roads, operation and maintenance? Why should the government run a Shoka hotel? These are the questions, and that is what we've answered through the asset monetization pipeline.